Going on, everybody?
Oh, we with it right now. Welcome back to Monday Evening Football Daily or preview show. Let's get it. Hey, we got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. A great Week 3 matchup that we're previewing. I feel like I'm a pro at this intro now. Hey, we're excited to bring it to you. I think normally when we think of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team is what they're supposedly called, is what I've heard people say. And also the Philadelphia Eagles, who is, the Ben Franklins of the East, is what people I've heard people say that
Yeah.
too. So it's we got an interesting matchup in week 3. But I think those types of matchups always on Monday evening tend to be a little electric between those two teams. I mean, we look back in years past and we've seen the games with Tony Romo, Donovan McNabb, Brian Dawkins, just some really great names, back and forth through that rivalry. But I think one that stands out for more than others, and a player who was electrifying in his own right, and he actually played on both teams. And I know who you're thinking about, and it is that guy, T.O. Terrell Owens.
CEO.
So, hey,
Love them.
he's the guy that brings this whole thing together. I will say that. And he had his infamous moment with Tony Romo. He's like, "That's my quarterback." He had that moment of passion for his teammate, which, hey, you got to respect a guy being vulnerable like that. But I will say the media back in the day just it. But I will say this about my guy To. I heard you make a pretty good wine, and I'm definitely going to try it out. And if it is a really good wine, all I have to say is that's my wine.
That's
Hey,
my
you
one.
guys need to check out 81 Vino, Terrell Owens wine. We're definitely ordering a bottle of it tonight, and we'll have it maybe for the next show.
Oh yeah, no
We're gonna
doubt.
order a bottle. I'll send one to you. We'll try it on air. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll test it out. We'll see how it's gonna
For
be.
sure.
Something for people to look forward to. But just a little shout out to 81 Vino. They sound like they're doing it good over there. To's the kind of guy that brings it all together, and I'm excited to see what they do, and To and everything that he's doing off the field. But as we return back to this matchup, week 3, Nick, what are you kind of expecting out of this game?
Well, first of all, I just have to say, seriously, guys, try 81 Vino. All right. It's a shame. That's listen, how many opportunities are you going to have to try wine made by Terrell Owens? This is not really
True.
a hard decision to make here. This is a once in a
Yeah.
lifetime opportunity. I am incredibly excited about it. Scott's incredibly excited about it. That's the facts of the matter. That's just what it is.
Yeah. And that's all you need to know about the situation. But definitely try that shit because I bet it's going to be delicious. I'm excited to try it. I really am. When I saw that he made a wine, I was like, oh, no way. So,
That's what it
it's very exciting.
It
It,
is.
it is.
That's what I'm
And
saying, though. Seriously, it is. It is.
it,
It's an
it,
opportunity of a
it
lifetime.
for
I
sure.
couldn't emphasize this
And
enough.
I think if you knew me and my background with YouTube and some of the other networks I've worked with on the YouTube station, you'll know I'm a big wine guy. So I do get very excited about it. And sorry, I got to keep my composure. But I'm very excited about trying Terrell Owens' wine. I think it's going to be good. I'm always interested by it because like there are some celebrities that come out and they do not produce a very good wine. I feel like this show has gone off the rails very quick. That might have been because of 2 or 3 technical difficulties, but here we are.
Here we are.
We're trying 81 Vino,
You
and
got
that's
to.
all you need to know.
You got to.
And
So
we're
anyway,
excited about it. But yeah, we look forward to this week 3 matchup. And what are you excited about the most week 3? Anything
I
anything kind of catch your eye that
so
you want to
I
talk
do
about?
think that it's an awesome game to have week three. Like it's a great rivalry. Like I know like we're having a good time with the wine, but like really it is those guys like T.O., it's Donovan McNabb, it's Emmett Smith, it's Troy Aikman, it's Tony Romo. It's like all of these people that you remember from this rivalry. It's just awesome. Brian Dawkins, right? He was part of this rivalry.
Yeah.
Um, just a bunch of like guys that you remember and it's really cool to see that rivalry take place so early on in the season on Monday Night Football because you've got such like passionate fan bases on both sides, right? You've got the Eagles side of things, that is from the people I know from Philly that talk about those games,
Hmm.
just an unreal environment. And then same thing, Dallas Cowboys, like we were saying before the stream cut off the first time, like seriously, like we're from Chicago. You're either a Bears fan, a Packers fan, or a Cowboys fan. That's it. And they just
Yes.
that America's team label has stuck with them forever, and they really do have fans all over the place. So that I think is awesome. I also think week 3 is great because sorry if this is a hot take for someone, but this rivalry historically has not mattered all that much late in the year, at least in mine and Scott's lifetimes. That rivalry kind of, it's
Yes.
usually one of them is up and the other one is down. And so if we're going to follow the trend this year, early on in the season, you're still not sure about either team.
Yes.
You're still not sure, and I
For
like
sure.
that because I'll be honest, and that kind of rolls us into like, this upcoming season with these teams. But man, I tell you what, like the fact that that game is able to happen when the fans can still be optimistic is important because I really do think that I don't think those teams are going to finish similarly at all this year.
Yeah. It'll. I think you're 100% right. It'll be interesting to see how they do finish because it probably won't be neck and neck. And I think you look at, what the, Philadelphia Eagles are potentially doing right now with they're looking for a suitor for Zach Ertz. They're shopping him around. They're waiting for June 1st to hit,
Hmm.
so they can take a little more cap space off the books for themselves, which is smart on them. But it's interesting to see. He's been a solid tight end for them in in the past. Moving away from him, it'll be interesting. Where any team you think he'd be a good fit on? Maybe the Jaguars need a fourth tight end over there, or um, you know,
It's very possible. If he's out of there, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them if he's out of there. I think, unfortunately, while Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, I think if he's out, that's going to be tough. And to be honest with you, I do think he's out. I think there's a lot of teams that make a ton of sense. And to be honest, it's a lot of teams that I think are finding themselves in maybe a threat. Like it's, I don't know the right way to describe it. It's like the tier of teams that are threatening, but they still definitely need another piece. Like it's not,
yeah,
he's not going to go to Green Bay. He's not going to go to Tampa. Like he's probably not going to end up, in one of those situations or with Kansas City. But there,
yeah,
there are some teams that I do think are really interesting. Like could the Buffalo Bills make a play? That's a random team to think of, but like, could they make a play? They're right there.
yeah.
Like one more piece could just be overwhelming for everyone, right? AFC makes sense. I don't see the Eagles trading him to an NFC team. So, I think people start thinking creatively about where in the AFC makes sense, but I do think he's gone. I think that's probably a
Yeah.
done deal.
And a name I did hear floated out there was the Carolina Panthers potentially to get Sam Darnold down there some help.
Interesting.
So that'd
Interesting.
be interesting. That'd be a nice place for him to
No doubt.
potentially land, I think. Um, so interesting to see. I also saw the Colts would be another kind of team that was in that mix.
Oh yeah, they would
That
make a ton of
you know
sense. Yep.
they can play for them. They have the cap space. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Zach Ertz. But I think every indicator is he probably won't be on the Philadelphia Eagles to start the season. So when it comes to Week 3, he most likely won't be a factor unless he somehow gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys. In that case, he could potentially be a factor in that game. But
Good point.
that seems slim to very unlikely. So I mean, then when you look
Oh, hold on. Make sure it's got there he
at
is.
Jalen Rager,
Yep. Jalen Rieger, yeah.
there we go. And yeah, so year two, second year developing in the league, but really he's like the strong spot at your wide receiving core. Um, really not too many top tier weapons, I would say, for Jalen Hurts when it comes to that. But luckily, Jalen Hurts, he's been developing his game, working on the small things. So expect. And when I hear guys working on the small things, I always
Hmm.
like that instead of like the guys like, oh, I'm trying to add this to my arsenal.
Yep.
Because when a guy's working on small, that's usually going to lead to big gains on the field, metaphorically and physically. So it's exciting to see And it'll be pretty obvious at the beginning of the year whether Jalen Rager is going to be a player or an imposter.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a good point because in
We'll see.
reality, outside of him, now Miles Sanders in the backfield is not bad, and Hurts is not bad, but they do not have overwhelming weapons, and that's their best shot. He's a guy that if he has a breakout year, could turn some things. That could really change some things. If all of a sudden he's a serious weapon, maybe he replaces the factor that Ertz brought. You never know. But I do think they're up against it a little bit, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Um, so let's go into this with the Eagles then. The year plays out, the season plays out, assuming everyone is healthy. But let's say we've
Okay.
established Ertz is not there. Like we've established that he is not there.
Yep.
What are we looking at for the Eagles likely this season? Me personally,
Hmm.
I think this is probably with Ertz gone. I think this is probably a 6-11 team. You add that extra game now, maybe a 7-10. But I don't think this is a
Hmm.
playoff team. I
Hmm.
think this is going to be tough for them this year. Now, I'll tell you what. The way I see it is, if I do think they'll be opposite of the Cowboys. You guys can kind of tell how I'm thinking
Okay.
about the Cowboys. My thing is, this might be a type of season where it's a Cowboys type of season. A team like the Cowboys comes out, and you know how those seasons sometimes go. You have a type of season where a team that on paper should be good shows up and they play well. And if it is that type of season where the Cowboys play well, I think it will be the same type of season where the Eagles play poorly.
Okay.
Now
Well,
that's just the reality of
okay. Well, to those facts, loosely brought together facts over there, Skip Bayless.
it. Oh, God.
Jesus. Oh, of those loose facts, I'm a little more optimistic on the Eagles. I
Oh,
think
okay.
first year head coach, Coach
Oh,
Sirianni
Sirianni.
comes in.
Hey, Sirianni.
He, I think he can potentially bring some stuff, bring a little more structure to that Eagles organization, which I think it's maybe missed in like the past year or two,
Mm,
which I think it's led to a quick collapse. So I'm thinking he can really put some stuff into place, get some guys to make some plays, and I think they might be more like I'm gonna be honest, like a 9-8 or like even a 10-7 potentially, because it's not a terribly strong division that they're in. So
that's a good point.
I'm a little higher on the Eagles, but
That's good. Hey, Sirianni. That's the reality of it too. Another
oh,
X factor, right? Could become Sirianni. He could become another X factor because the reality is, we're not familiar with him. We don't know what he brings to the table. And in fairness, as Packers fans, we saw it with Matt LaFleur. Nobody knew.
yeah.
He came in and an incredibly talented coach. So I think that's a good point. I think you never know with Sirianni. You really don't. Um,
This thing with the quarterback situations being slightly different in situations.
hmm,
But who knows? Maybe he gets creative with Jalen
for
Hurts,
sure. And I do.
and Jalen Hurts,
I like
solid
Jalen Hurts.
quarterback as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So,
absolutely, absolutely. This is a big Jalen Hurts show here. I think, also in fairness, as Packers fans, at least for me personally, I mean, I would prefer that the Eagles play well and the Cowboys do not. I would prefer
yes.
that personally, but gotta be realistic here, right? That's what it is. So here's the thing though, Scott, I tell you what, when I'm thinking about that game, one of the first things that actually comes to my mind is Jerry Jones. And when I think of Jerry Jones, I think of that gigantic stadium that he has built down there. And you know who the first
Jerry.
person I think of is when I think about that stadium and that star on the middle of the field? It is Terrell Owens. All right?
It is our guy, Tio. I don't know if you know this, but he has his own wine, 81 Vino. And I tell you what, me and Nick, we're excited to try it.
Damn
We're
excited.
ordering it tonight after this show, 81vino.com. Go check it out. It's probably going to be delicious. But yeah, an electric guy on the field. And definitely when you think of the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, you do think of T.O.
Yep, absolutely. He was part of that prime time aspect of the Cowboys, right? Part of the reason that we get a Cowboys game so early. It's the same reason that we get an Aaron Rodgers game so early. It's the same reason that we get Lamar Jackson and John Gruden. Monday Night Football at the end of the day, especially early on in the season, they're going to put some of their best products forward in the markets that matter. And the Dallas Cowboys have always been a team that has had players like Terrell Owens on their roster. They've always had guys like Tony Romo on their roster. They will always have an Ezekiel Elliott. This is what they do. They have the players in the league that people want to watch. T.O. was one of them. And now they have a guy like Zeke that people want to watch. Dak Prescott's a reason that people want to watch. Amari Cooper. You can go down the list, but this is why the Cowboys play Monday Night Football early in the season. And that's the first thing that comes to mind, right? That is why they are who they are. You got Big Mike down there coaching them. Everyone
Yep.
knows Big Mike. You say what you want about the guy,
Reinventing himself.
but everyone knows this guy. Jerry Jones' hand does not cramp writing checks, is what he said. And the reality is, that is the truth. He brings people in that you want to see play football.
For sure. Yeah, he absolutely does. He is not shy with going and getting a guy like Amari Cooper and giving up what he needs to give up to get him.
Yep.
Because he knows at the end of the day, that's going to make his team competitive. It's going to put fans in his beautiful, amazing stadium down there,
It is.
and everyone's going to be happy in Cowboys Nation. He does. He gets a lot of publicity, negative for being not the best owner, and I think he's come a long way in how he's handled some things. And but as a business owner, as an owner of the Dallas Cowboys, I think he does a great job keeping that team competitive year in and year out. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see. I did see the Cowboys did hire a former NFL head coach that used to he coached for the New York Giants.
Look at that.
Didn't really pan out, but I think Mike McCarthy, he's just trying to get it was Ben McAdoo, but
Oh yeah,
he's
McAdoo, yeah.
he's trying to get
Oh,
just the best. I think the best brains in sports or brains about football together, and hoping to make some things happen. I did see Al Harris was on the coaching staff as
oh
well.
yeah, that's
Legendary
awesome.
second, corner Al Harris. So
Absolutely.
he's putting some pieces down there. A couple guys from his Green Bay tenure. So it's interesting to see what Mike McCarthy's doing. I think he's just trying to get as much football knowledge in the building as he possibly can and use that to his advantage. Now, did that work year one? Not necessarily. I think he's going to refine some things. I think they will have a pretty successful season as well. I think it would be the Eagles and the Cowboys in my predictions in the season to be in the top of their division. I think with what Mike McCarthy is doing, I think we'll see how he reinvents himself. I think it'll be telling early, and that it will either be a great thing for the Cowboys fans, or I think it'll be a bad thing for the Cowboys fans. But I'm excited to see what Dak Prescott does. I'm just worried if that offensive line can hold up and protect Dak Prescott.
Yep. That's the thing, right, about the Cowboys is you saw it last year that that injury happened, and then you can't really judge the Cowboys after that, to be honest, because you don't have Dak. It's Big Mike's first year, right? And you don't have Dak. It's hard to judge anything that happened for them last year. This is the type of season where, if everyone can stay healthy, we want to see what they have on paper. I personally do
Yes.
not trust their defense at all. But where I think
Okay.
they can weather that storm is the fact that they played so poorly last year, they will not play a first place schedule. So their schedule is going to be a little more favorable for them. And in this first year back from COVID, you get fans back in the stands, and you have that impact like we talked about. I think that was last week. I think that the Dallas
Yep.
Cowboys are set up to, if they can just execute what Mike McCarthy's trying to do, because that's the thing about his time in Green Bay. People feel like he underachieved, but only because he didn't win a second or third Super Bowl. It's not like the guy wasn't getting to the NFC Championship game, consistently getting to the playoffs. He can get teams there. If the Cowboys just execute roughly on what his plan is with their offense, they should be able to get there, right? To me, feels like them and the Eagles potentially, but I think the Eagles could finish behind a team like Washington. I think the Giants could surprise
Yeah.
them with Saquon Barkley back. I think the Cowboys should win that division. Every year everyone thinks that, but I think they should win that division. For me, I could see 11 and 6. Or you could see 11 and 6 from them. I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable. I think that and winning their division, I think that's a reasonable look
Yeah.
at the Cowboys.
Now with this extra game, do you think more teams finish in that middle of the road type of
I think that's it.
9 and 9-8 or 10-7?
It's a good question. I think there's a good chance. Yeah, I think there's a good chance.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of mess in that range, right? In that now it will be basically the 9, 10, and 11 win range will become a very weird place. And that's
Yeah.
interesting because if 9 wins is in play, and you're a team that only has 6 wins with like 3 weeks left, you still feel in it. Or
Yeah.
4 weeks left, you still feel in it. So you start to do the math there and you go, okay, well, that's kind of interesting because, you know, if you're staring down, realistically 6 and 11 with 3 games, or I
Yep.
mean, or 6 and 9 rather, with 3 games left, you know, you're in that ballpark. It'd be 6 and 8. I'm out here tripping. That's what it would be. But it's a weird thing, right? 9 and 8 is in play now all of a sudden. Like 6 and 8,
4 teams on the table
six,
for sure.
6 and 8 with 3 games left makes you feel like you should be out of it, but you're not necessarily, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Like 7 and 7
Yes.
with 3 games left. Like you're just in the hunt still. You could get 10, like
Yeah.
that's weird. That's a weird thing. That's definitely a weird thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be interesting to play out. I think. Yeah, I think I'm right there with you where the Cowboys falling in that. I would say 10-7, 11-6 probably.
Yep.
I mean, they do have the guys to make something like that happen. So I think that that will probably be the case. And I will say this, my prediction for that game, I think Dak Prescott shows out probably like 360,
Yeah.
three
Okay.
tutters,
Okay.
and maybe one interception. Um, and then I think Jalen Rager really burst onto the scene that Monday night as well. I think the work he's put in this offseason is going to pay off for him. I clock him in at 114 yards and 1 touchdown, maybe an extra point in there.
There you go. See,
So
you know what? And at the end of the day, maybe, just maybe, he has 81 receiving yards. Because, of course, it's 81 Vino, guys. That's, at the end of the day, that is where your head needs to be at. If you're thinking about football, you're thinking about the number 81. There's a damn good chance you are, especially if you're thinking of the Cowboys. Cowboys, Eagles, you're probably thinking of the number 81. That's a number that might be coming to mind, and it should be.
it's possible.
It very well
And I
should be.
will say this, Nick, who knows? Potential thing in the future is we might be drinking 81 Vino on Monday evenings. It's a possibility.
I'm
And I think everyone should probably do that. They
absolutely,
say a glass of 81 Vino is good for heart health, baby.
absolutely,
It's good for heart health.
absolutely.
So we'll say that. Nick, what's your prediction for final score for week 3, Philadelphia Eagles versus Dallas Cowboys?
It's I don't see it being an incredibly high scoring game early on in the season. I'm gonna go Cowboys. I could see the Cowboys put up 28,
Okay.
and I think the Eagles are probably 17.
Okay. I'm a little higher scoring than you. I'm going to say the Cowboys put up 31
Okay,
and the Eagles put up 24 is where I'm kind of in that realm.
there we go.
So, I think the Cowboys do have the firepower to knock off a team like the Eagles early on.
No
I
doubt.
think we're both on the same page there. We're rooting for Big Mike, obviously
Oh
his
yeah,
ties to Green Bay. Got to appreciate a guy like that. Hope he does well, but not too well against certain teams. Maybe it's your favorite team. I don't know, whoever that could be. So, you always want to root for guys unless they're playing against your team. Then
that's
by that means don't root for them.
then it's just that easy.
So, guys, other than that, we'll be here tomorrow morning for the Monday Evening Football Daily Show, bringing you daily news around the NFL. We're excited for it. Almost as excited as we are to try 81 Vino because I'm excited for it. I learned about it today. Terrell Owens, he's putting it out there. We're going to give it a shot and we'll let you know honestly. But we're excited to try it. Me and Nick, we're definitely ordering that tonight. Guys, feel free to check that out. Support Terrell Owens and his wine venture for sure. Nick, do you have anything else for the people at home?
I think we're getting closer, guys. Every week we get a little bit closer to some NFL football. I'm looking forward to it. Happy Memorial Day. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.